And there we go. It is already 5 o'clock, Friday, the 4th of February. And we are here again with a broadcast regarding service management. And the idea is to give you updates, new insights on everything that's going on with service management. And what you probably have noticed is, at the moment that I was going live, you saw another shot, and that was the preparation that I did earlier today, when I'm going to talk about organizational behavior. And so what I have in mind for Friday next week, I will interview Robert de Broeder, and he's the author of this book. I should point out this way. And then we will explore about how comes that we easily forget the importance of behavior in organizations. With all the beautiful practices and methods that we have out there, what makes, if you make the comparison, for example, with a taxi driver in Amsterdam, even if they have a driving license, it does not prove their behavior in the traffic that they are driving safe across the city. So the same for service management, also for project management, for other activities and routines that you have in your organization. What makes the people really behave in a professional way? What I learned in this session when I spoke with Robert about organizational behavior is dare to give feedback, and how come that we are so struggled and puzzled about giving feedback, and there are two sides of it. On one side, it is the person that wants to give feedback is not used to give feedback, but also the other way around. Even if you are receiving feedback, people see it as a kind of punishment, and it all has to do with the way that we were taught at school. Because most of feedback was negative feedback, and nowadays we are evolving in a way of working that any feedback, like in a professional football team, is constructive to make each other stronger, better, and there is feedback on the relation, like please say it in this way, or please do it in such a way, or use different wording, or what do you mean by if you say this. So then you have feedback more related to the relationship between you and the other, but you can also give feedback on the task. And exploring both the feedback on one side from a relationship point of view, or the feedback from a task point of view, are very important building stones for any improvement behavior in your organization. And of course, you know, I'm a fan of unified service management. I've been recently involved in doing some workshops earlier this week for a very nice organization in the food business, and but also there I learned that handing out a method like unified service management with the beautiful 5 processes that are covering my face completely. Put it in the corner over here, Pieter. That is not enough. It's only 20% of the work. If you start to embrace a method like unified service management, the behavior is the trigger. That's the big thing. How can we influence successful behavior in the organization? So that's on the agenda for next week. And what else do I want to share with you today? Oh yes, of course. I should make some promotion about what we have in mind together with ITSMF Belgium, which will be, let me see, the 22nd, so 2202 on 2022. That's a lot of twos. At 6 o'clock in the evening, we will talk about the 7 steps to, I call it the demystifization, how to demystify demand and portfolio management. I've seen so many organizations struggling with demand management and portfolio management. So what I will do during that session is, on one hand, bringing some building blocks about service management. So you need to have a kind of foundation to understand what is service management all about. And then we will move on to the pitfalls in demand and portfolio management. So that's on the agenda on the 22nd of February, 6 o'clock. I will share you the link later on so that you can subscribe. For the members of ITSMF Belgium and abroad, it is free, and the session will take about 45 minutes where we share the 7 steps, and then there is a kind of informal interaction afterwards. It's all online, so wherever you are, you can easily join, and you will learn about these 7 steps to demystify demand and portfolio management. Another thing that I like to share with you today is, if I look at training, I've experienced training in several ways. If I look at my agenda from the beginning of this year until now, doing live sessions at client site, of course, triple-sized rooms to have a safe way of working. Each time that I go out there, I do a PCR test to be sure that I'm not infecting my clients. And on the other hand, I do online workshops. And one of the insights that I learned is the impact of very short sessions. I'm talking about just a 1-hour training session. And basically what we do is sharing a couple of best practice and methods that help you to move on. But we also talk about behavioral things, good ways of doing that you can start to pick up as an organization. To give you an example, there is one team out there in Norway that is in a service desk first line situation, depending also on the second line and third line. And we brought in a couple of roles, like, for example, a door manager. And you probably will say, what is a door manager? And well, imagine if you are with a whole team sitting around a tool where new tickets pops in. Before you know, with the 7 of you, you're looking at the same tickets. And what we brought in there, what we agreed to do, is that one of them is the door manager, which means that person will look at all the new tickets that comes in and will distribute it to the right person in the team to make sure that not 4 people are looking at a ticket and thinking the other will probably do it. And that means that 4 people are reading it, and that means nobody is taking ownership. So by having the role of a door manager, which is in this case changed every day. So on one day it is one person, the second day it's a colleague who is taking over. He or she is going through the new tickets, doing the prioritization and the categorization, and is assigning the tickets to the right person. That really works. It's very nice to see how the team evolve, how fast tickets are assigned to the right person, and the less gray tickets you have out there. And that's maybe a word that I need to clarify if I talk about a gray ticket. And let me see if I can share the slide with you as well. So while I'm talking, I'm searching for this slide. But yeah, gray tickets is anything that's out there in your ticketing system for example, longer than 8 weeks untouched. That's a gray ticket. Or a gray ticket is a ticket that has not been prioritized, or it's not clear who's owning the ticket. All these elements demonstrates that there's still work that needs to be done. So yeah, let me show you the slide that I have prepared talking about grey tickets. So it's unclear if it's an incident or a service request. The prioritization is totally wrong, maybe done automatically. And that's not good enough. So look at it, update it, do a right categorization and assign it to the right person. Grey tickets is really something that is damaging the brand of your team, damaging the brand of your organization. And so pick it up, do something about it, and to make it happen. And now I'm looking at my grey ticket, which is very small, so I just need to press on a button to bring it to the right shape. And what you also can do with the team is share grey tickets. That you say, hey guys, I have a list of tickets here. We don't know if it's an incident or a service request. That means that you need to do something about your service catalog. And or you can't categorize it correctly. Share it with your team, talk it over, do a short stand-up. I mean, today, with a click of a button, if you're using Microsoft Teams or one of those other tools, you can come instantly together, put on your camera so that you can see the face and dare to talk to each other and ask for help. Because you're not alone, you're there with a whole team. And so that are a couple of good practices that you can do. And that was one of the things that I shared with them, talking about grey tickets. Well, what else do I have in mind? I have prepared it over here. Of course, it is a short rehearsal of what we have shared before about unified service management. And I'm happy to share it with you. And you will notice some details regarding knowledge management. Okay, what I have in mind is to provide you a short summary of the material that we have used in the past workshop sessions. You see, of course, here the 5 processes. I will come back on this picture soon, but let us first dive into this graph where we talk about what is a service, the interaction between a customer, a group of users that have a need and want to transfer that on one side to you as a provider, as a service provider. And your response is that you provide in return a facility. And if you zoom in on the facility, it's not only a facility, it's always facility, including support. And together, the facility and the service, we can call it the service. So the shortest definition that we can use for a service is a supported facility. So you need to clarify very clear how the facility, how the service looks like, and who is taking ownership for the support, and until what level you are willing to provide the support. So that is the challenge between one hand the customer or the user, the group of users, and the other hand the provider. But let us have a closer look at the provider itself. This is, if I zoom in and let me show you this picture, then you see 3 types of resources. Any organization, any department, any team contains or has these 3 types of resources. Then I'm talking about processes, people, and technology. Or to say it shortly, people do things, activities, with stuff, technology. In the past it was a form, a piece of paper, and nowadays it's an application, an app, something out there in the cloud. So it helps if you are building up these routines and become more predictable by doing things in the same way as our colleagues. And if we find an inefficiency or something that we would like to improve, that we reflect on it and that we make it known that we have an improvement available for that particular service. So if you really want to become in control and provide predictable services, remind me again a supported facility, if you want to make it predictable, you need to zoom in like how does process, people and technology interact to be in control. And of course, those that recognize the picture over here as the professor talking about systemed thinking, over there he is, and I'm talking about Mr. Akhoff, he's talking about, it's all about the relationships between the parts of a whole organization or a whole system. And it's the relationship that counts, the behavior on how you respond to another solution team. And it also helps if you all recognize that your team, your department, but also your own personal way of working is built up in these three types of resources, as I mentioned earlier, the process, people and technology. And if you say that any activity out there relates the what, and if you combine the activity with a person who is doing the action, then you start to talk about the procedure. And you see next to me the column with an activity and the who is building up over there. And of course, if you combine the what, the who, with the how, then you are building up the work instruction. And what you have seen, what you also see here demonstrated in the graph, and let me zoom into it, the what, the who, and the how. The more you're able to build up these routines in these recognizable steps like what, who, and how, process, procedure, and work instruction, the more you can standardize your way of working. The trouble is that most of the organizations are using different wording. They call a lot of things a process, they call a lot of things a practice. People do have difficulties in recognizing it. And so let us agree that a process is just a combination of a couple of activities. And it becomes a procedure if you make clear who is doing the action. And that brings me to this sentence that every service organization is able to manage its routines and services with a methodological approach based on no more than 8 standard workflows. And it demonstrates here, if you have several teams and each of you are doing it totally different, storing the information in Teams, on SharePoint, in a wiki, somewhere out there on a website, maybe still in books, or even worse, on your own computer, it is hard to recognize the same routines. So you need to harmonize and build a chain where all the links in the chain become recognizable. And if you zoom in the chain, so here is the broken chain, here is the chain built up with consistent links, then you can build in the logic that we are all doing something in the service chain to contribute, to add value. What I want to do now is let me move to the board to show you a bit more about the 5 processes that we spoke about earlier. And so let me see. I will walk to the board over here, and I hope that the microphone. I should switch now to this microphone, and then you can hear me better. So here you see again the 5 key processes of unified service management. Agree, change, and operate are the 3 fundamental processes. Any wish out there comes in the process over here, and before you transform a wish into a service level agreement, you go deeper in the organization to find out if you have the resources, not only the technical resources, but also the human resources available, skilled, trained, to be able to offer this wish in the near future. So what you see besides the 5 processes over here, like agree, change, operate, as the fundamental processes, and of course, if something goes wrong, they recover and improve, you also see different workflows. And that's another thing that I like to emphasize on. Any service organization has these 5 processes and 8 workflows. And what I would like to learn you to recognize always the trigger from this side, from the customer side. And what do we have? Of course, we have the service requests and the incidents. That's workflow over here, workflow 5 and workflow 3 and workflow 4. Why do I have 2 workflows for a recovery? Well, you have an easy recovery, which you can just do by pressing a button to reset a server, for example, or you need to replace something in the infrastructure, and that's when you need change management. So that's why the incident or the recovery activity has 2 workflows, one including change management and the other that goes directly to operate. And then the first 2 are very interesting. The first 2 workflows, starting here, also from the customer side, where you have a wish, which means we have no agreement in place. So we need to transform the wish into a service level agreement, or the agreement is there, and then we have workflow 2, which gives the customer the possibility to put in a change out there, which means that in the contract it's already specified how long you can take, or how much money is involved, or how much labor will be related to the function points based on the functional analysis of the request that's out there. So basically, any service organization has, 4 types of triggers. It's or a wish that comes in. So the ticket pops in the organization, you look at it like, oh, no, we don't have an agreement. That must be a wish. Or there's a change within the agreement. Or something went wrong and it's an incident. And hopefully for you, most of the tickets that comes in are service requests. And that's also the place where you are contributing. That's the place where you can provide added value. And then you still have the improved process on the backside of your service organization. And there you have workflow 6, 7 and 8. And what does it mean? Well, you can reflect on your own way of working and change something with one of your suppliers. So you are making a trigger to do something on a contract, which in the end, of course, will make a service better, faster, cheaper, easier, or even more secure. You can also do an improvement within a contract, that you change something, that you would like to have an additional part to increase the reliability of something in your service chain. Or a small task that you execute directly as to the people of operation via a service request. So you have reactive triggers on this side where you react on the customer, and you have proactive triggers on the other side where you change something on contract level, that you change something on infrastructure level, or that you improve something on operational level. So 8 workflows, 5 processes is something that helps to recognize, to improve and standardize your way of working in your organization. So have a close look, and let me repeat that one here with this slide. And it is your challenge to recognize the trigger and to see if it is a wish, a request for change, an incident, or a service request. So that was what I had in mind as a kind of summary of all the work that we have already done in the past weeks. And of course, we are facing another challenge regarding knowledge management. And also there, we can use the same way of working. Like, what is the activity? Who is going to be the person who is looking after the knowledge? And how are we going to build up our work instructions to make use of our knowledge in a successful way? And that is something that you need to build up together. So first you go to a kind of minimum viable knowledge management, and from there you are building it up together based on your input. So do not copy it directly from a book and put in categories that doesn't make sense for your organization, or try not to push everything into one tool. If you know that there are particular information that works better for you in Teams, for example, comparing with SharePoint, a wiki, or in ServiceNow, in or one of the other toolings that you use for running your services. Okay, so this is what I had in mind, and remember, first of all, what is the definition of a service? List your service in your organization so that you get a kind of service catalog. Make clear and link any ticket, if it is a service request, an incident, a request for change, or a wish, to services or services that need to be developed. And for the wishes, we will work on guiding you in a demand portfolio management way of working. And but for running the services, which is for you as team, I think 95% of the work, we need to build them routines to make our daily work easier, and that we have time to reflect on our work to make improvements. So we need to build up standardization on one hand. We need to share and make clear who takes ownership for which part, so that we know on which door do I need to knock if I have an improvement suggestion. So thanks for listening. This is what I had in mind as a short summary of the work of the past, and talk to you later. See you Friday next week. If you have any response, please share it or through the Microsoft Teams chat that we have out there, or to my company mail. Thank you. Talk to you later. Enjoy the weekend.